Blood pressure. During exercise, blood pressure will dramatically change due to the increase in heart rate and the fact that the body is all of a sudden will require more oxygenated blood quicker and more frequently than usual. Blood pressure measures how hard the blood is pushing against the walls of the arteries. The first is systolic pressure. In terms of both of these tests, they would both cause blood pressure to increase as they are exercising, as they are causing the body to exercise and therefore increasing heart rate and blood pressure. Blood pressure has two different readings. These are systolic and diastolic. Both these readings are to do with different stages of the blood being pumped out of the heart. For the multi-stage fitness test, the normative data recording for blood pressure is between 160 and 220 mmGh, whereas the Wingate test is between 220 and 280. This is because one test is not maximally working whereas the other one is, meaning that the blood pressure in both tests will vary. Your typical resting value for blood pressure is around 120/80, which is close to what we saw for our client. This shows that their blood pressure is normal and may have been slightly off due to something known as anticipatory raise, which will cause an increase in blood pressure or heart rate before taking part in activity due to either nerves or your body preparing yourself to exercise. Blood pressure equals cardiac output times resistance to flow. We would expect to see higher blood pressure at the end of the Wingate test in comparison to the multi-stage fitness test, as this is a maximal test and therefore the body is working harder in the Wingate test than the multi-stage fitness test. Investigation data analysis of blood pressure. In the graphs above, you can see the results for blood pressure of the client in client 1 and client 2 during the multi-stage fitness and the Wingate test. These results show that firstly, for the multi-stage fitness test, that the pre-test measurement is already much higher than what would be expected. This is because of anticipatory raise. We can see at the beginning of the test, the results appear to decrease, which is unusual and unexpected. This can be seen here. However, this could be down to a number of factors such as a misreading or dysfunction in equipment. However, as the test continues through the stages, we see a gradual increase in blood pressure, which is what we would expect to see as the exercise is beginning to get more intense and the body is needing blood pressure to increase in order to keep up with this. In the Wingate test, we can see that in the data from the graph that blood pressure dramatically increases after the test, which is what we would expect to see, as during the test the blood would have had to have been pumped around the body a lot faster and more efficiently in order to allow the body to work for this test. Blood pressure in the systolic reading, which is in blue in both of these graphs, is higher, and this is due to the fact that the systolic reading comes from the left ventricle of the heart, which is the biggest ventricle of the heart, and therefore pushes the most blood out, which is why we can see on both graphs the recording for the systolic pressure is higher than diastolic. In terms of sport for blood pressure, this is needed as when exercising, no matter what intensity, an increase in blood flow and pressure will occur due to an increase in demand for oxygenated blood that takes place in our bodies. One specific sport for this would be basketball. This is played at a variety of intensities throughout, meaning that blood pressure will adjust accordingly. When working at a very high intensity, like in the Wingate test, blood pressure will need to increase as the body needs more oxygenated blood in the muscles. Also, in basketball, when a counter-attack, the same thing will occur. However, there are also slower phases of playing basketball where the blood pressure, although it would be higher than usual resting recording, it would not be as dramatic as working maximally like in a counter-attack or the equivalent of a Wingate test. This would be when keeping possession in basketball and would be close to the equivalent of the multi-stage fitness test, as this is where the body is not working maximally, however is still working above rest, and we would see an increase in a person's blood pressure. Blood pressure is needed in sports so that the body can function at the right amount of blood can be supplied to all the working muscles at the correct times to make sure the body is successfully working. This is seen in basketball a lot for when the body is working at any point as this sport has a range of intensities it is played at.